we all have an inner asshole, just the biggest son of a bitch, just the biggest dick in the world. We all have that inner asshole, and we have to develop him if we don't have him. I mean, your inner asshole, your inner dick, your inner son of a bitch, whatever you want to call him, you need to develop that guy. That guy has to become your best friend, okay? You know, this being a nice guy shit, it's for losers, okay? And let me explain why. Okay, and let me talk about what exactly I mean by being an asshole. Okay, now being an asshole, a son of a bitch, a dick, they're all the same thing. It's basically that quality that you must have, that inner aggressiveness, that willingness to be a bit of a bully, quite frankly. The ability to, on command, bring out your force of personality that allows you to elbow other people out of your way. You need that. You need that quality. And if you don't have that quality, you have to develop it, okay? Now, why am I so adamant about this? Because, you see, we live in this world and we are animals. We are human beings, yes, and I do believe we have a kind of soul and we are blessed with consciousness, which is the most wonderful gift that you know, frankly, I think that consciousness is the most wonderful gift in the universe, the most valuable commodity we can possibly have, because it allows us to experience this wonderful world. But the fact is, we are animals. We are animals. And therefore, the rules of life apply to us. And they apply to us in spades and in every circumstance. And that is survival of the fittest. The most aggressive, the stronger among us survive and flourish, and the weaker are left by the wayside. And we are taught that we should be nice guys. We should be nice guys. You should be a nice guy. You know, you should be polite and all the rest of it. And we're taught that, and it's, for all intents and purposes, it's a pleasing little fairy tale, okay? Being a nice guy doesn't get you anywhere, quite frankly. Being a nice guy, frankly, if you are a nice guy your whole life, you're going to wind up killed. And you know who's going to kill you? The world. Because the world is set on killing the nice guy. I mean, believe me, if you're a nice guy, this is what's going to happen to you one day. You're going to be like, you know, dating some wonderful girl, you know, or married to her perhaps, and you're going to go to your job where your boss yelled at you and you just like, yes, yes, and because you're a nice guy, and you were like, yes, yes, and you stayed up late working on the thing even though you didn't tell your boss off, because that wouldn't have been nice, now would it? You're going to be like this nice guy who stayed up until late working on the stupid project that wasn't even necessary, and then you're going to go home and you're going to get home, and before you get home you're going to stop by and pick up some flowers for your girlfriend or your wife, and you're going to get home and you're going to open the door, and you know your boss is going to be there having just fucked your woman, right? And she's going to look at you sheepishly and like, oh, you know, I didn't want to, but it just sort of happened, you know. And that's the fate of the nice guy, okay? You have to develop your inner asshole, your inner son of a bitch, your dick, okay? The dickishness, you've got to develop it. You like it or not. Because you see, what happens is that other people, other men, have developed it, and they're not going to have any problem with bringing out their inner asshole and, you know, trampling you and fucking your woman and taking your job and, you know, taking whatever else you have to offer because you weren't strong enough or you were too nice of a guy to just defend it and protect it. See? See, most of the time, people lose not because they're, you know, unable to do something, but because they're not willing to use all of their strength to achieve that thing that they want. That's the reality of life. So you got to develop your inner asshole, and you have to know when to bring out your inner asshole. Okay, when and in what circumstances and with who. Okay, and I'll tell you right now, the mistake that most men do insofar as their inner asshole is they bring it out either all the time or they bring it out against the wrong people. That's what usually happens, okay? And let me explain. See, the guys who are assholes all the time, right? Who are like tough, and they're like barking at people and yelling at people and all the rest of it. Well, what happens to them? They get isolated. They become isolated and they are marginalized, okay? Now, I saw this firsthand with my old man. My old man was an asshole all the time. He still is, as a matter of fact. And the son of a bitch is just the biggest dickhead, no matter how trivial the circumstances. He's always an asshole, okay? And what's happened to him is that, he had a fairly brilliant career for a while, and then little by little he just got marginalized because people just weren't willing to tolerate a 24/7 asshole because it's exhausting, right? And he would be the biggest dickhead in circumstances where it wasn't warranted, or against people who could do nothing to fix the situation, who were in a very real sense helpless, That's one mistake, and I saw that up close and personal. The fact of the matter is, a lot of times I was, the object of this 24/7 asshole-ish behavior, and I can tell you, it brings nothing but misery to the man who is like that. Okay, so don't be like that. Don't be an asshole all the time. You don't need to be an asshole all the time. You only need to be an asshole at certain key moments. Okay? Now, when are those moments? You see, a lot of times, the other mistake that people make is that they are assholes in the wrong circumstances. And you see this a lot of times. Like I said before, my old man used to be an asshole with me when it really didn't warrant it. Okay? That's a perfect example of being an asshole when it's not warranted. Or for example, being an asshole to, say, somebody at a store, the sales associate. You went and you bought something and it's defective, and you come back to the store with the receipt, and you say, well, this was defective, and the sales associate says, well, the policy is I can't accept a return for whatever reason. And you start yelling and being an asshole with the sales assistant. But the sales assistant has no power in the situation. So being an asshole with a sales assistant is a mistake, right? Right, but a lot of guys don't realize this. They become assholes with people who cannot fix the situation that they want fixed, see? And so they expend a lot of energy, emotional energy, being an asshole with somebody who's powerless to help them, okay? Powerless to fix the situation. So it's very important that when you are going to release your inner asshole, I'm thinking release the hounds. When you're going to release your inner asshole, you got to know who you're going to direct your asshole-ish behavior towards. Is it somebody who can help you, or somebody who's powerless, or potentially somebody who could hinder you? You see these guys a lot of times in like restaurants, right? They're assholes with the waiter, right? Because of whatever happened. Right? They're assholes with the waiter. What the hell do you think the waiter's going to do? He's going to spit in your goddamn food the first chance he gets, right? Right. So you don't act like an asshole with somebody who could negatively affect your life. Of course not. You act like an asshole with somebody who's actually in charge. For example, you went to that store and you got a defective product, and you came back and the sales associate says that she can't do anything about exchanging the product that you bought. And you say, my dear, you say calmly, politely, my dear, you cannot help me. I know this. Can I please speak with your supervisor? And when the supervisor rolls around, then you release the inner asshole. Then you act as aggressive as possible. And you use your force of personality to get the outcome that you want. The sales associate can help you. The store manager can. The store manager has the authority to say, fuck it, okay, I'll take back your product and here's your money back, or here's a new product and go away. They have that power. Sales associate doesn't, so don't act like an asshole with a sales associate, okay? Another thing, a lot of times people act like assholes with the people that they love. Now, this is tricky because there are sometimes when you have to act like an asshole. You have to be a little bit of a dick. And I'll tell you a specific example. The other day, I had to be a little bit of an asshole with my 3-year-old son. Why? Well, because the kid is kind of lazy, like all boys are, because all boys, not girls, boys, all boys are fundamentally lazy. And the little shit, right? He's still wearing his diaper. Okay, he can go potty, right? But he doesn't feel like it. He's playing, he's having a good time, so he's going to pee in his diaper. And his mother, of course, because he's his mother and indulges him, she just allows this. And I had to be a little bit of a dick with him. Of course, it was in proportion, okay? You never act like a complete asshole with the people you love, even when sometimes you need to be. You just needle them a little bit. And with my son, with my 3-year-old, I said, come on, man, don't be like that. And you promise, and I showed enough of an edge of aggravation so he got the message. And in point of fact, he was like, no problem. When he had to go pee, he said, Daddy, I got to go pee. Let's go pee. And we went to pee, and no problem. But you see my point. You got to know when to be a dick, okay? And you sometimes have to be with the people you love, but you have to be very careful when you do it with the people you love, okay? Now, insofar as what you are doing in your life, insofar as your career and your work, lots of times you have to be a dick. Lots of times you have to be an asshole. Again, you got to know when to be an asshole, okay? But don't be afraid to be an asshole. A lot of times, it's useful to be an asshole at the right moment so that people realize that you're not a pushover, okay? Like, let me give you a specific example. Suppose, you got some business and some, client of yours hasn't paid in 60 days, 90 days, whatever the fuck, right? And it's getting a little bit annoying, right? So what would be a smart thing to do? Bring in, have a couple of your employees there in your office, and you call up this client of yours, and you give him a little bit of read him the riot act. You act like a little bit of an asshole. And you say, look, man, you're an important client and I respect you, but this is unacceptable. And so when are you going to pay me? Give me a specific date that you're going to pay me. And you push the guy and you push your client until he gives you a specific date. Not a promise of like, oh yeah, I'll pay you. See, when you're going to be an asshole, it has to always be specific. What are you going to do for me specifically? Right the fuck now. When are you going to pay me? When are you going to give me the new product or replacement product or whatever? Be specific in what you desire when you are bringing out your inner asshole, okay? And in this case, like the case, the hypothetical I'm talking about the client who's late with his payment, right? You do it in front of the people who work for you, so that they know that you are willing to be a dick, so that they know that you have that inner son of a bitch, right? Yeah, because that way you never have to use it on them. See? Because nobody wants to be an asshole to his employees. Nobody wants to be unkind or just, a little bit nasty to the people that you see and work with every day. It's counterproductive, of course, because sometimes if you have to be an asshole to an employee, if you have to be an asshole to an employee more than once, then you better replace that fucking employee, or you're doing it wrong, okay? Because that's as simple as that. If you have an employee and they're not delivering, and you have to be an asshole, then that employee is incompetent. Or you are bringing out your inner asshole too much. And if you are too much of an asshole in your business, then people are not going to want to work with you. They're not going to want to work for you, and it'll get around that you're a dickhead and hard to work with. And other people will not want to do business with you. You see what I'm saying? So you got to be careful. So in this hypothetical I'm saying, you act like an asshole to your client who's late with his payment so that your employees see that you can be an asshole. So you're not going to have to yell at them later. You're not going to have to be an asshole to them later. And the client, right? Well, what do? If you have to ever be an asshole with somebody, okay? Being an asshole with somebody solves the immediate problem, but it creates other problems in your life. And those other problems are very simple. The person is going to know that you're an asshole, and so the relationship with them is going to have some friction, right? So either one of two things are going to have to happen in the near-term future. Either you're going to have to repair that relationship somehow, or you're going to have to replace that relationship somehow. Let me give you an example. Suppose, your client, Mr. X, right? He's late. You have a 60-day payment period, and the guy's late by an additional 30 days, right? And he does it once, and you let it slide. And does it a second time, and you call him up and you read him the riot act, right? And he pays on time. Well, right there, you have to make up your mind. Is Mr. X such an important client that you can't afford to get rid of him? If it is, then in that case, okay, you were a son of a bitch on the phone call to get him to pay, but then you got to take him out for drinks and you got to smooth things out. However, if the guy did it to you twice and you had to bring out your son of a bitchness, right? He's going to do it again. So you're going to have to replace that guy as your client. You're going to have to find somebody else You're going to have to somehow minimize that particular client and go out looking for another client, because you can't afford to do that. You can't afford to be a son of a bitch all the time, right? Do you see what I'm saying? Do you understand what I'm saying insofar as being a son of a bitch and knowing when to do it? Because at the end of the day, what you are doing is very simple. You are using your aggressiveness to get what you want. Now, sometimes that means that your personality has to be rude. You have to be rude, and see, being rude all the time is very, very bad. Because at the end of the day, in a society, in a civilization, you need the oil of politeness to be able to get through life. Okay, your relationships with others depend on politeness, depend on, you know, a smile and a kind word as you ask them to do something for you. Okay, you can't be aggressive all the time. The times that you are aggressive, however, make them count. Be an asshole to get what you want and to show others that you're willing to be an asshole. So that way, paradoxically, you won't need to show off what a big asshole you are. And the final point, never be afraid of bringing out your inner asshole. Never, ever. And when you're young, especially, develop him. Stand up for yourself. If somebody's pushing you around, push back. Be an asshole when need be. Okay? Especially when you're young, especially when the stakes are relatively modest or trivial. Okay? If you're an asshole with you know, young guys that you know and you're a teenager, who gives a shit? Okay? You're a fucking teenager. Okay? You've got your whole life ahead of you. You got decades ahead of you. If you're 18, 20, and somebody rubs you the wrong way or doesn't do what they're supposed to do, be the fucking asshole. Don't worry, experiment when you're young, or when it's inconsequential. But don't allow yourself to go with this bullshit nonsense that you have to be a nice guy. Because nice guys do not advance in life. Nice guys, I mean, it's the ideal to be the nice guy. And the fact of the matter is, I mean, I'm a son of a bitch, I'm an asshole, I know it, okay? But the thing is, see, in life, I try to pretend to be a nice guy. Because, you know, that's how you can get through life. But you can't actually be a nice guy. Not if you want to have a successful life. If you want to have a successful life and achieve the things that you want, you know, achieve position, money, women, a family, you want the important things in life, well, then you're going to have to develop being an asshole. Because let me ask you something. Have you ever met a rich, successful, nice guy? There's no such being. Nice guys, they inevitably get overwhelmed. They are crushed by the world. Frankly, you know who the nice guys are? They're the betas. They're the soy boys. They're the guys who don't get ahead in life. They are the ones whom natural selection makes sure to destroy.